Many people think addiction begins with the substance. Take a powerful drug, often enough and dependence follows. That's the story we've been taught. The chemistry hooks you and everything else comes later. But history tells a more complicated story. For thousands of years, humans used psychoactive substances in rituals, ceremonies and communal settings, and widespread addiction was surprisingly rare. What changed wasn't the chemistry. What changed was the disappearance of ritual, meaning and shared responsibility. Drugs and Addiction, an Anarchist Perspective. Dickie Dredd. This is part 24 of the video series. We're still on chapter 3, The Natural Urge to Alter Consciousness. Part 22, Sacred Chemistry, Ancient Uses and Ritual Meaning. In those older systems, no one tripped alone. Every ingestion was witnessed, meaning and accountability anchored the chemistry. When anthropologists searched for evidence of addiction among traditional peyote users, they found almost none. The plant was approached with reverence, dosage fixed by lineage, intention public. Pleasure, when it appeared, was secondary to insight. The ritual provided what modern society lacks: community, continuity, and a shared cosmology that made experience interpretable. Colonial modernity ruptured that order. Christianity and empire outlawed local sacraments while sanctifying wine in churches, one consumption called holy, another condemned as heathen. The colonizer feared the autonomy of ecstasy, the threat of revelation without priest or state. In the process, knowledge that balanced chemistry with cosmology was displaced or destroyed. Molecules were extracted, patented and sold. Ceremonies were banned. The result was separation, drug without ritual, euphoria without ethics, commerce without community. The Western rediscovery of ayahuasca in the 21st century exposes both the hunger for and distortion of sacred chemistry. Traditionally, it was the shaman who drank, whilst the patient remained sober, healing through the healer's vision. In modern retreats, the equation has flipped. The client drinks, the shaman becomes facilitator, and the vine is rebranded as psychotherapy. Lebate and Kavanagh note that this reversal marks a shift from collective cosmology to individual self-help. The vine once evoked spirits of forest and ancestry. Now it promises personal growth or burnout recovery. Even so, the impulse behind it, the longing for initiation and belonging, remains authentic. The ritual has migrated because the need survived. In the best contemporary settings, the Amazonian grammar of song and silence still holds power. Clinical studies of psilocybin mirror those old insights. Mystical type experiences correlate with therapeutic benefit when held in empathic context. The future of psychedelic medicine may depend less on chemistry than on rediscovering ceremony. Without structure, expansion becomes fragmentation. The task is not to copy indigenous rites, but to relearn the principles they embody: humility, preparation, and collective care. Personally, I read these histories with a mix of reverence and caution. I've never drunk ayahuasca, though I understand the pull. Westerners seek in the forest what industrial life has stripped away: silence, belonging, awe. The ceremony offers what clinics rarely do: witness, song, permission to feel. Yet appropriation lurks nearby. True respect means translation, not imitation. We must root our forms of ritual in our own land and language, drawing from shared values of equality and ecological kinship rather than spectacle. Comparison with rave culture is instructive. The drum, the bass line, the collective trance all echo the ancient logic of ecstatic union. What we lack is elders, endings, and integration. Pleasure without closure becomes repetition, and repetition becomes dependence. The lessons of shamanic model is completion, to return from the vision carrying insight rather than injury. Integration turns experience into education. Addiction, by contrast, repeats without reflection. From an ancient perspective, these ceremonies reveal a political as well as spiritual technology. They show that order need not mean domination, that structure can serve freedom. A well-held ritual is a self-governing system, mutual aid in microcosm. Participants regulate one another through trust, not coercion. It's what practical anarchy calls structure without ruler. The modern state's fear of drugs is, at heart, fear of people who can self-organise ecstasy. And next up, in chapter 3, we've got part 23, which is the inner pharmacopoeia, cannabinoids, DMT, and the brain's own chemistry.